Today, let's go over booking and then capturing a destination elopement for both photo and video as a team, my fiance and I, and we'll just do a behind the scenes video. We're gonna talk about how I booked it for the most part, as well as the whole process from flying there, getting flights, where we stayed and everything like that, so that you have a little bit better understanding as to how destinations work, how you can do one yourself, and how you can get some more bookings. So let's just get straight to the good stuff. So long story short, this was booked with an ad I ran on Facebook that netted me over 400-ish leads in just a couple of weeks, with surprisingly only $300-ish in ad spend, which is great because out of the 400, you're able to book a majority of, the qualified leads, because not everybody responds and not everybody books, of course. But I was able to book this couple, which was a really awesome local couple. If you want to learn a little bit more about how to get leads, book, and market, sell, and all of that stuff, I am launching a course all about wedding and elopement photography and videography in terms of marketing. So if you want to learn all about marketing, literally everything, that's all I'm going to say so I don't spend more time, there's a link in the description down below to get early access to the course when it's released. Feel free to ask me any questions in the comments or reach out via the email on the website if you have questions. So first things first, we talked about the ad. So the ad was a really beneficial thing to get a ton of leads, which I got many bookings from. And we'll go over the types of ads and stuff as well in other videos and in the course in more in depth. After booking them, it actually turns out that they live locally in Colorado where I live. So it worked out to where we were able to take the same flight as them, which means we also went to the airport and such with them at the same time, which is a really fun opportunity because we were able to capture portions of their travel on both my phone and my camera to kind of incorporate that into their final film, as well as, photos, because it's a really fun aspect to throw that in there because it's more of like a real authentic style. Now that's my style, may not be yours, but I found it really fun to be able to capture them on the day. However, the flight we took was at 1 a.m. That 1 a.m., literally, that's when it took off. And then we had layovers, or one layover at least, to get to finally the Dominican Republic. Now, with this specific elopement, it was a little bit different because the couple decided to go stay at an all-inclusive resort on its own island. So normally we would pick like an Airbnb that's like, down the street or something or next door, so we could easily just walk to the venue or the place that they're staying in order to capture their day. But in this case, we had to stay 2 nights at the all-inclusive, which is of course a part of the package and cost and such, because you need to be able to make money on your package and not go broke. So it had to be paid for, but we only stayed for 2 nights because we needed to be able to stay the night before and the night after in order to capture some stuff with them. And we also went whale watching, which I'll get into here in just a little bit. So on top of having to stay at an all-inclusive, we also needed to figure out where we're going to stay beforehand, because we do like to show up to destinations at least 2 days early, or at least plan to, just in case there's any travel-related problems that arise during your travels. So for example, if a flight is delayed or canceled, I have an extra day in my belt to be able to find another flight or way to get to the place I need to go so that you don't miss the event. Because if you try to show up the day before and you have a cancellation, you're gonna be scrambling around to find a way to get to the place before the actual event day. So give yourself some extra time and that'll make your life a little bit easier. Since we stayed a little bit early, we ended up having to find somewhere to stay close by so we could, just go to the all-inclusive resort the day before the elopement and then leave the day after the elopement. So kind of like a 1.5 day thing. And so we found this all-inclusive resort nearby that worked out. It was super cheap, like $50 a person. I don't recommend splurging or anything on trips like this because it's mainly for work unless you plan on staying afterwards, then, deal with it after the fact. But for work-related stuff, just try to get somewhere that's easy and convenient, not necessarily the most spectacular thing ever, because that's usually not paid for, or at least if it is, they're not gonna have a budget to like give you a couple $1,000 a night. Monetarily makes more sense to find somewhere easy and inexpensive that fits your needs, and obviously isn't like a Motel 6, but somewhere that's just very average. So that's kind of the process of travel. We basically met up with them at the airport, talked with them, hung out with them a little bit, traveled with them to a transfer that took us all the way to the city that we needed to go to get to the all-inclusive island. And from there, there, that is where the goodies start. But going over the travel portion is quite important because that's kind of an aspect a lot of people overlook. And if you do want to know how much I charged for travel and things like that, I know that's a really big topic. Let me know in the comments below and I'll talk about how to price your travel in another video. What we did is the day before the elopement, we actually had multi-day coverage with them. So what that means is we're going to spend a little bit of time with them the day before their elopement, hanging out with them, doing an activity or something like that. And for this couple specifically, we decided to go whale watching and they brought us along, and it was a really fun experience for everybody. We were able to capture them kind of being, you know, cutesy tootsy and having fun on their little vacation, as well as us being able to see some whales, which we did, which was really cool. And it was a really fun experience for them to kind of capture photo and video, as well as just to have a really fun day before their elopement. And then after that, we ended up checking out the entire island where we were staying so that we could, you know, figure out what our spots are good, where they should do the ceremony and things like that, because this was specifically a location where you can't really get that much information on. So it's more or less a place we have to go to see the places and do location scouting day before. Normally in other places, you can do a pretty good job of location scouting via the internet or asking around, but since this place was quite niche on its own little island, it was quite a different story. After we explored the island and such, you know, we just ate some food and hung out and had some fun and got ready for the next day, and that's where the good stuff starts. So on the day of, we ended up getting all of our gear ready in the morning, which is super convenient being in the same hotel as the couple, and I highly recommend trying to do that if the couple didn't, you know, book a really expensive place and it's in the budget for you and your package and them and things like that, because it's so easy. You don't have to worry about transportation in another country the day of and things like that. It's just a more simplistic process for you to be able to, you know, do stuff. We got our stuff ready and met the couple in their room where they were getting their stuff ready, and then the bride went off to get her hair and makeup done at the local spa, where, you know, that's pretty straightforward as for getting, you know, all of that stuff done, but that was captured on photo and video and things like that. During that time, the groom and I went out and I got some fun stuff with him, and we got some extra content, got him getting ready, everything like that, which was a pretty simplistic process. You know, the getting ready stuff is a pretty straightforward thing for most weddings or elopements, but after that is where things get quite interesting, where we're able to kind of do whatever we want for elopements. And that's what's fun about this. And since we're on a tropical island and the couple is more relaxed, chill, they ended up going to this like temple type place where they do a lot of yoga stuff, where we did the ceremony. This is where for photography, it's pretty simplistic. It's just one person on one camera, so they just move around where it's needed. As for video, for me though, I ended up setting up an extra camera on a tripod for a second angle, and then I have my main camera angle, which is either on a gimbal or handheld, so I can capture different angles throughout the ceremony. Usually for elopement, ceremonies are very short. It's literally just them saying their vows and putting the rings on. But the really cool part about elopement ceremonies, if it's just the two people and nobody else, is you can redo things if you need to. Like you can get a few different shots of them putting their rings on back and forth, so you have different variations and things along those lines that makes it pretty nice to do. Now, after this is kind of the fun part, because after the ceremony's done is where you can kind of do whatever you want. And in this case, we didn't do anything crazy like helicopter rides and stuff like we have done in the past, because we're on a relaxing remote island. So instead, we grabbed some food, we went to the beach, we got some sunset photos, we did some really cool things and had a lot of fun doing that, as well as just trying to capture a day authentically. Like they went to the bar and got their free drinks and stuff because it's all inclusive, and we just kind of captured the authenticness of their day. We kind of let them do their own thing. We didn't really tell them to go do this or pose like that, because it's more fun this way with elopements, being able to just kind of do whatever you want and just enjoy the day and be with each other, which was a really fun experience for them and us, being able to just kind of hang out and shoot, you know, as we can, instead of being forcefully made to like go pose here or do this or do that, which kind of ruins the whole like mood and experience, in my opinion, when you're doing elopements. So it was a really fun experience doing this, and it was a pretty simplistic day. It's mainly the travel, getting to the place and, you know, booking everything, that's more of like the in-depth experience for this type of elopement, because there wasn't a lot of other things we needed to plan because we're on an all-inclusive island. I mean, everything's included except for certain certain activities. But it was a really good day all in all. And then after the sunset, and we got some really good sunset photos and had a lot of fun doing that type of stuff, we did end up going to a really nice restaurant at the end where we kind of parted ways, where my fiance and I did our own thing and they went to do their own thing just to kind of hang out by themselves and be done for the day, which was a really nice thing probably. And I always recommend that at the end of an elopement or wedding, is to just kind of let the couple do their thing so they can be with each other and do fun stuff. So the day after, we actually ended up hanging out with them as well, which was really interesting because we went on a little kayaking, thing where they went on a kayak, we went on a paddleboard. I got some, GoPro footage of them kind of having fun, goofing around, going swimming and things like that. So it's a really fun thing to kind of have experiences like that included in your whole video, as well as the photography, gallery as well, because it shows their whole overall experience and not just their wedding day. After all said and done, we went back and basically just backed up literally everything, all of the photos, all of the footage onto multiple drives to make sure nothing gets lost. If anything gets damaged, broken, stolen, etc., we have extra backups so that if, the worst case scenario, we still have at least one backup of our stuff and it doesn't get lost. And we went back to Punta Cana, which is near the airport, because it's about a 5-hour drive, and stayed the night there and then left the next day. So we left well before the couple did. They stayed for a little bit longer and then also went to another place for their honeymoon. So that's one thing that can vary between where you go. You can stay longer as you want. That's just obviously up to your own cost and your planning, and it has nothing to do with the elopement itself. But that's kind of the beauty of elopements that are in destinations, is that you can stay and vacation yourself when you're done. However, we decided to go home because we have so many other destinations this year that it just wasn't worth our time to stay. But that's really it for this video. If you want to see more behind the scenes or learn more about the booking process or things like that when it comes to weddings or elopements, let me know in the comments. I'm always happy to hear suggestions about what you're looking to hear or see on this channel, because I'm always happy to teach and educate people on the stuff that I know about. And that's really it for this video, and we'll see you on the next one.